Every gamer down in Gameville liked video games a lot, but Konami, who lived just north of Gameville, did not. Konami hated gamers and their whole gaming culture. Now please don't ask why of that old software vulture. It could be perhaps that his ego was too high. It could be that most of his creativity had run dry. But I think that the most likely reason of his woe was that his care and effort of his products went years ago. But whatever the reason, his games or lack thereof, Konami stood there on Christmas without any love, staring down from his ivory tower with a frown at the warm lighted windows of the GameStops in town, for he knew every gamer around Christmas was busy buying games by Bethesda, Ubisoft, Nintendo, and Stoney. "And they're buying indie games," Konami snarled with a sneer. "Tomorrow is Christmas. It's practically here." Then Konami growled with his fingers far from the pulse of the community. "I must find a way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow I know all gamer ladies and gents will wake bright and early to play their presents. And then all the noise, noise. If there's one thing I hate, all the noise. Then they'll jump, swing, and flail to Just Dance 2016. Then try out new amiibos and figures for Disney Infinity. They'll co-op in Halo 5, scrap in Fallout 4 to survive. They'll explore in Rise of the Tomb Raider, design in Super Mario Maker. They'll play Xenoblade and pilot robots. In Undertale, they'll pet dogs. They'll slay monsters in Wild Hunt, battle on Hoth in Battlefront. And they'll play noisy games like Jackbox Party Pack, a fun party game from the makers of You Don't Know Jack. Then they'll make extra-large purchases deluxe, as Skylanders continues to make Activision a lot of bucks. Then the gamers young and old will sit down to discuss how they hate my whole company and make a huge fuss of what I've done to Silent Hill, of which they aren't keen, or my switch and focus to pachinko machines. Then they'll do something I hate most of all. Every gamer down in Gameville, the tall and the small, will read articles on Destructoid or watch channels like Jim Sterling. They'll turn their attention to me, and those gamers will start complaining. And they'll complain, and they'll complain, and they'll complain. And the more Konami thought of this Christmas game playing, the more Konami thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 46 years I've been in this business now. I must stop Christmas from coming. But how? Then he got an idea. An awful idea. Konami got a wonderful, awful idea. "I know just what to do," Konami laughed in his throat. "I'll release Phantom Pain and make Hideo Kojima a scapegoat." He chuckled and he clucked, "Oh, what profits that game I will hoard, and I won't even allow Kojima to accept any video game awards." "You're a mean one, Konami. You're a shameful sham disgrace. You're about as charming as the Call of Duty player base, Konami. Your little wooden rowboat, trying to travel in space." "You're a relic, Konami. Your recent library fills me with dread. Only Metal Gear and Yu-Gi-Oh! Seem to keep you out of the red, Konami. If one game of yours were to describe you, it would be Never Dead." "All I need is a Silent Hill HD." Konami looked around, but since their source code was lost, there was none to be found. Did that stop Konami? Ha! Konami simply said, "If I don't have the final build, I'll use an incomplete one instead." So he took his employees, who he had worked all day, and he dressed them as reindeer to pull his sleigh. Then he dressed in a red cape he got from a mysterious trader, but being mostly machine, he looked like a red Darth Vader. Then Konami said, "Ikuze." Then the sleigh started down towards the homes where the gamers lay a snooze in their town. All their consoles were in sleep mode. No one knew he was there. All the gamers were dreaming sweet dreams without care, when Konami came to the first little house in the square. "This is stop number 1, the old Konami hissed, as he approached an air duct, empty bags in his fist. Then he crawled through the duct. It wasn't quite easy, but if Solid Snake could do it, then so could Konami. He got stuck only once, for a moment or two. Then he snuck in and noticed a gamer's CPU, with Silent Hills by Kojima on his Christmas wish list. "Cancelled," said Konami, "and it won't even be missed." Then he removed PT from every PS4, even removing it from the PlayStation Store. Then he removed every instance of Kojima's name from the marketing and packaging of the Phantom Pain. Then he delisted himself from the New York Stock Exchange, one of many moves which others thought strange, but not as strange as the Phantom Pain PC disc that only had a small installer to download 28 gigs. As he tried to be sneaky like Indiana Jones, he heard a small sound like rattling bones. He turned around fast and saw a skeleton, Papyrus the skeleton, who loved puzzles and puns. He stared at Konami and said, "A human invader? Who are you, and why do you look like a red Darth Vader?" But you know that Konami was so sneaky and slick, he thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick. "Why, my dear skeleton," the inhuman Santa said with great zeal, "I am a paladin from the Brotherhood of Steel. Though my actions may seem strange, I am here for your protection, so please head off to bed while I inspect your collection." It seemed quite a stretch, but Papyrus was gullible, and Konami made him a plate of spaghetti for his trouble. And when Papyrus was in bed with his plate of spaghetti, out the air duct snuck the villainous Konami. And the last speck of talent Konami left to rot in the Pharaoh was an extremely disenchanted Guillermo del Toro. Then Konami left most of their IPs to rot, including the ones they acquired from Hudson Soft. It was 1:15, all the gamers still abed, all the gamers still snooze, when he packed up his sled, packed it with lost hopes of a new Castlevania, of a new Silent Hill, DDR, or Beatmania. 10,000 feet up the side of his ivory tower, to look down upon the gamers in a grand show of power. "Pooh-pooh to Kojima," Konami was humming. "He's finding out now that no Christmas is coming. The gamers are waking up, I know just what they'll do. They'll play their Phantom Pains for an hour or two, praising only us and forgetting about you-know-who. That's a noise," grinned Konami, "that I simply must hear." He paused, and Konami put a hand to his ear. And he did hear Phantom Pain being played down below. It started in low, then it started to grow. But this sound wasn't praise for Konami. No, quite the contrary. Every gamer down in Gameville had a feeling of awe, singing praise and thanks to Hideo Kojima. Konami hadn't stopped Christmas from coming for Hideo, for Kojima Productions was now an independent studio. And Konami with his stone-cold heart stood in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without credit. It came without the fox. It came without Hideo Kojima's name on the box. He puzzled and puzzled till his puzzler was sore. Then Konami thought of something that he hadn't before. Maybe a video game, he thought, isn't just about profit. Maybe a video game, perhaps, has a deeper meaning behind it. "Actually," said Konami, "screw it. I still hate all you gamers." And then Konami was crushed under the sheer weight of Jim Sterling's. The end. Merry Christmas, Hideo Kojima, and may you have lots of success with the newly reformed Kojima Productions studio.